All right, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing a breakdown, and we are looking, I thought we were done with this job. I thought, in fact, we had done another job in between this, and all of the other breakdowns that I had done from this commercial, we have already released onto Patreon and then onto YouTube, which reminds me, if you want to support the channel, if you want to see this stuff when it actually comes out, I originally released this location scout video. It's over 8 months ago on Patreon. And I think it just now came out on YouTube, and the same will be with this video. So this video will be on Patreon this week, and it will probably be on YouTube maybe a year from now. So if you want to get access to these videos when they're happening, and if you want to get access to the Discord community and just support the podcast and the channel in general, the best spot to do it is in the link in the description below, Patreon. I appreciate the support. I would not do these videos if it were not for the Patreon support. So you've already seen this location. If not, I will put a link in the description back to that original video so you can see what we thought before we actually shot here. It's like, well, what are we shooting today? We're shooting 2 people in a car. So if we were going to go through immediately once we see the boards, what's the very first thing we have to do? We have to recognize what kind of scene are we shooting? Is it a bar scene? Is it an office scene? Is it a dining room table scene? Is it a vehicle scene? Is it an other, right? Is it a oneer where we're going to follow somebody around on a Ronin or a Steadicam for the entire commercial? Come on, I know you can do it. You guessed it, right? This thing gives it away, right? This little car right here. It is a vehicle scene, and I have an entire course on vehicle scenes. We're not going to talk about that today, though. We're going to get straight into the nitty-gritty. We know there are some limitations when you're working inside of a car. Makes it slightly easier that this car is parked. And so I'm just going to lay out, if you haven't seen the Location Scout video, I'll lay out very quickly through these boards because we run through that in the entire video. I'm not going to do them all, but we're in a parked car. Parked cars, way less complex. Super, super simple in terms of if you could pick in a vehicle scenario, if you could pick between we're moving or we're not moving, pick not moving. Way easier, faster, much easier to work on. A whole bunch of variables straight down the drain from production point of view, much cheaper. So already we're winning when we look at this board. Now we have, what is this? This is inside looking at the driver. We are in Australia, so this is on the opposite side from America. Then we have a French over. This is a French over, French over, French over, French over. Then we're in front again, and in front for the, this is pretty much every single shot you can do in a vehicle scenario. There's not really another setup that we can do here, except maybe the close-up from the front. Like if you had this angle closer, that's really the only other shot you can add. It's lots of shots. It's the establisher. It's, let's see, mid French, tight. This is tight again. And the 2-shot, which is the most famous, and then the front mid shots. That's pretty much everything. Okay, we got a lot to get through. Why do we have to get through that much? That would be my first question to the director. Second question would be to the first AD. Do we have enough time to get through all of this? Because it's going to be big. The answer is we don't have either. We don't have answers, and we don't have time. Let's look at the actual location, because this was the boards that you get from the production, and they are drawn to maybe not the exact location. We get out there on the Location Scout, and ta-da, this is where the driveway is. There was another driveway over here. It just didn't work. Now, I've talked about this exact scenario before on the channel. I think it was in a video from a few months ago. You will always be asked to shoot sunset. Why? Sunset looks nicer. It's like, what is the scenario that we're trying to sell here for this specific scene? It's like this guy's just come home from work and he's got to tell his colleague that he's dying of cancer. A bit of a bummer conversation. Why not make it beautiful outside to make up for the bummer of a conversation? Okay, let's do it. What's the best time to shoot? Best time to shoot would be sunset. Why? Looks cool. Looks very cool. Okay, what's the hardest time to shoot in terms of logistics and actually getting it done? Sunset. Right? Remember when I talk about if there is a difficult position to put the cinematographer in, 99 times out of 100, the production will try and squeeze you into that position. So get comfortable in those positions and in dealing with them. That's what we're looking for now. We're trying to come up with answers, especially after we look back at the solutions that we came up with. Was that the best solution? Could we have done better? The answer is always yes. Probably we could have done better. Okay, so this is the actual location. There's the driveway over there. We get on the Location Scout. It's like, ooh, that's not the best location because there's a house over there that isn't very nice, and there's a whole bunch of background stuff that doesn't make sense. Can we make it here? Yeah, okay. Well, they're not really going to be driving out, so now the car is going to be facing in, just from a logistics point of view. Well, do we have enough time to do a wide shot of the car actually pulling in? And the answer on the Tech Scout is maybe. So we should plan for it. Now, the biggest thing about sunset shots, which would eventually become night shoots here. And it would eventually become night shoots because there was no way that we were going to get through all of this during sunset. Now, you can fake a lot of things. This one, we can shoot actually at sunset. Why would you do that? Because it's the widest one. We want the wide. So we're going to get our fake sky. Yeah, that'll be sky replaced anyway with some cool sunset. But all over here, all over the ground, you would have that beautiful soft light that we're going for. Building faces the right direction, no worries there. But all of this stuff, we see too much out the windows. We see too much that we are not going to be able to fake it. Out the back window, we see out the side windows. We see lots and lots of real estate. And you're like, well, not really. Like a lot of it is taken up with the faces. No, it's not so much like how much is in an individual shot. It's how much is in during the course of the entire scene. And like I said, just imagine if we zoom out here. Let's come over here. We'll draw a little car, right? And we've got our two people in the car. This is it. And this is the steering wheel. So they're facing this way. So we have the wide shot, which is looking this way. So that covers this 90 degrees. Then we have a two shot looking that way from the front. That covers this 90 degrees. Then we have the other way, this 90 degrees. And then we have the wide shot of them pulling in, which is this. So we have to light at night 360 degrees. And what are you looking for when you're lighting for night background? You need depth, right? Which means we need to create layers of light. You don't want to just wash it with level because then it gets flat. We need layers of light. Now, layers implies not one lamp, not two lamps, but 3 different lamps at least in different areas. That requires setup and teams and blocking off roads and running the generator and all sorts of crazy stuff. We don't have time for that, do we? Maybe. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. It's definitely not going to happen at sunset, right? It's definitely not going to happen. We just see too much. At nighttime, it's going to be even trickier. Can we do it during the day? Story-wise, doesn't make any sense, right? The feedback is, well, they're coming home from work. So it doesn't make sense to be coming home during the day. What's the next best solution? If we know we definitely cannot get the look for sunset over the entire ad. And it's not like we don't want them, well, you could do this shot at sunset, and then you could do this one, you could light it up a little bit. Now we don't have the crew to make it feel like sunset. Not going to happen. Well, maybe they're just sitting there for a really long time. Okay, well, that doesn't work story-wise either. Next solution. Okay, well, let's just push everything back. We don't have to rush, and let's make it nighttime. And then it's like, okay, good. And I think we talked in the Location Scout video. We came up with a little solution for lighting, right? What were we going to do? We were going to have like a faux street light over here, faux street light over here, some lights on in the house, a little bit of level in the sky for the wide shot. And then as we move in, we don't need that level as long as it's dark-ish in the foreground. We can fake that for the rest of the thing. So working order is going to be come out, shoot the wide, then shoot all of the coverage that we need and be done with it, okay? What would be really cool though, if we're thinking vehicle scenes, the problem with vehicle scenes is that it's very hard to get depth. You're restricted by the car that you are shooting in or the vehicle that you're shooting in. If it's a bus, it's a train, whatever. Depth is always an issue because it often flattens off because you can't put anything between you and the subject. And yes, you can shoot from outside, but outside is what? In the front, glass. And you're looking through glass. So what's one of the tricks? Well, you dirty up the window, right? That creates a different layer. Or the big one is you add rain. Yes, rain. It's stormy. It's going to be nighttime, picks up all the reflections. It's cool. Is it expensive? I mean, it's more than doing dry, but it looks cool. Is it worth the trade-off? I think so. So we talked to the director. Director loves the idea. Like, let's put in a rain machine. That way we can have little drops on the window. We can have the wiper sound effects. We can have depth on all the windows, and it sort of masks out the background as well. The more gunk that you can put on the actual windshield itself. So that's the plan. That was the plan. Ultimately, Rain Machine goes kaput, right? Goes bye-bye because it's one more variable that we can't actually handle because we're limited with crew and with resources, and the big resource is time. So we did 2 separate scenes in here that we have done videos on in the past. We did like a living room look, then we did a kitchen look in here. And then finally, after that, all of that, I think let's call that 7 hours. We then have to come out here, and in our 2 hours that are left, we have to get this entire scene. That's moving really fast. So we have to have a plan of attack. What are we going to do? What are we going to start with? We know we're going to start with the wide, but then where are we going to go in the coverage? Because this makes a big difference. It makes a big difference for speed, as in not doubling up on work where we're going to move around all of the gear, right? Because you definitely don't want the crew having to move gear twice when you're pressed for time. It's like, what is the most complex shot besides this one? Well, the next most complex shot is this one, okay? So we got wide to tight. Now this is flipping 180 degrees. But when we flip 180 degrees, what ends up happening is now, once we set for this, what are the other shots that we are immediately set for, or that will require like one or two little tweaks? Is it this shot? No. Is it this shot? It's none of those, right? It's these two. So now we have our working order. It's like this shot that we have to do at sunset. Now we're into night, start with the biggest one. Then we come to the two that make sense. Then we flip and go inside the car, and then we go closer. Now you know the working order. Let's see if we can get it done, right? There's going to be no challenges here for sure. Let's go to the first one. Okay, we shot this on the Mini LF. We shot tribes. I don't think there's anything else that we have to talk about, except let's get into the actual shoot. I will say that these are straight out of the camera. There is no sort of grade on these, and that's important because it shows you the levels that we were able to capture on the day, and then I will give my feedback as to, hey, this is probably what we want to change. Big thing here is it would have been way cooler. You feel this light over here? Like there's just a big wash of light over here. That to me, way too hot and way too flat, right? Like that's not a layer, and I can't look away from any of this. I just see this immediately. And we knew it on the day, but it's like, man, it would have been way cooler if we had like a pool of light here, right? And it didn't stretch all the way across and it didn't hit all of this. And then we had a backlight from the house, like onto these bushes, rather than like pushing light at it. Why don't we have those things? Because we would have had like a cherry picker over here, pushing level behind the house to edge it out, rather than here we're pushing everything from the front. Front light is a bummer. Front light during the day is a bummer. Front light at night is a bummer. Why? Because we're just flattening all this off. And the alternative is, if you were to turn off this 4K bounce into a 12 by 12, right? It's just like a 4K on the ground bouncing into a 12 by 12 and then sort of pushing at the house. Okay, that is this level on the house. And it's also this level all over the ground and all over the street. You'll notice we didn't get any rain. Like it would have been way better with a wet down. We wet it down with a hose, but it would have been way cooler with a rain machine. Way cooler. Anyway, we did not get that. This street light over here, this is cool, right? This is ours. We just put up some, one of those little 2x1 cream source numbers over here. And that gives you like the street light effect. And you think, okay, well, that doesn't add a whole lot to this shot. It's not about this shot. It's about going in for the coverage and remembering that, oh, there is like a warm light coming out of nowhere here that's going to act as our backlight for all of the interior stuff. Other win for production. You want to talk about an easy win? Let's look at this. We zoom in here. You see how there's these things in the back? These boxes? That's a win for production. It's a big L for lighting. Well, depending on how you look at it. Why are these there? Well, they're there because when we go in for the coverage and we go to this two-shot, right? This two-shot, if we can see out the back window, we have to light for back there. And it's a huge area, an area that we cannot get permission to own. We can't put in a big cherry picker back there blasting with backlight. So then we're going to have to front wash it, and it's like an apartment block. So we don't have permission to light it up. So what's the answer? The answer is put things in the back of the car. The bummer with that is, now when we go to the two-shot, let's see if we see it. When we come to the two-shot, look how flat it is back there. It's just like a giant chunk of flatness. When that could have been, like the entire back seat could have been backlit. And then that backlight could have reached into these shoulders here. Like that's the L, unfortunately, is we have to work with our strengths and lean into the weaknesses as well. Other things that we're looking at in this shot, in this wide, okay, we did get level in the sky, right? My guess is, I haven't seen the final spot, but my guess is this gets replaced with something more sunsetty and cooler because you can't control, as much as I would like to, I cannot control the clouds. So we're not getting any cloud action here that would be halfway decent. And the light is kind of okay. Gives us a little bit of a soft light, but it doesn't really, it doesn't make the image, and we're getting no backlight. Inside, I would say all of these levels, like this upwash here, that's ours. There's a tube in there that's ours. All of these curtains we planned for, and we'll light them up. I would say these are, I mean, this is essentially a still image. So we could take these levels way down. I'd go way down on these. And I think we ended up turning on a light in here as well for the actual take. Way, way, way down. I'd up the water on the road. And man, if we could get, like, see this thing back here? This little backlight orange thing? Can we get some backlight? We can't get one backlight? You can't do night exterior with front light. It's just really hard. Just flattens things off so much. And I would say definitely take this down, or like create a little pool over here to make it halfway decent. But this is with, let's see, 1 in there is ours, 2, 3, and then you've got 4 on the 4K over here, 5. This is 5 lamps to do a pretty sizable nighttime exterior and nothing backlit. Again, like, if we're going to get rid of, this is one of those questions where you ask very early on in the process, do you think we're actually going to use that sunset sky? And if the answer is no, we're going to paint it out. Well, then you get yourself a little cherry picker and you put it right up here and you bash in a big backlight, right? Not a lot of level, but as far away as you can get it, so it's as even as you can get it, and just a hint, a little edge. Imagine what that would do to this roof. And then like the car coming in, if you could get it high enough to just get over the roof. Now we're talking. Now that's layers. Now that's interesting. We don't have that. Let's see. Let's do one more here. We'll go and do the interiors before this video ends up being too long. So let's start with the 2-shot actually. So the 2-shot. Now, I've already called out, huge bummer that we can't get back here. But what else is the huge bummer that you should notice? This is where, man, if we had raindrops here, like etching them out, and in here, rain, and rain in here, and maybe you got the wiper like shadow going. Now you see the depth that we could have created. We're not getting any of that here. Remember that we are shooting though for 239, and I'm showing you open gate, so it would look a lot more like this. But this is in the vehicle scenario. We have 2 people in a vehicle, right, facing the same way. This is the exact same lighting scenario, the blocking, as a bar scene. Right? This could just be a bar instead of being the front of the car. The orientation is the same. We are working with more restrictions because all of this might block where we would potentially put backlights. You know, if you're shooting 239 like this at a bar and you're looking at them, which means the bar is behind us, all of the level is coming from the bar normally. You can put like a backlight right above the frame here. Well, the car blocks it out. So immediately, again, we are flattening things off, which is a bummer. So now we got to go from the side. And you'll see like this. Okay, this is a little bit hot here. Even this backlight is a little bit hot. But now we've had to bring down that level that we used in the wide. Where is it? Oops. Come back out. This thing that we used in the wide, right? We're bringing it from, I don't know, say this high to this high. So now we want to get it under the roof and get it in as a backlight. But the real tricky light here, oops, let's go in a little bit more. The tricky part of this setup is we are going to have to, we're going to pick a side, right? Which means, well, there was a lot of level coming from that light over there in the wide shot. So that's going to be our main side. But it's going to have to work for this guy looking this way and this guy looking this way. Him looking into the light is okay. Him looking away from the light is where we might lose him. Now, normally, if he was going to look away from the key light source, you would have something like this direction to just edge him out and to not lose his entire face into darkness. In the car, we can't have that. Or if we didn't have those boxes in the back, we could have done it. Here, it's like we tell him, like, hey, you could look over there, but maybe don't for the main line. Like the rest of the time you're doing the scene because they run the whole scene every time. It's like, why don't you just look a little bit forward? And that way it'll be better for you. And out here for light, we've got we've switched from the big 4K into the 12x12. Rather than keeping that all night, that can be wrapped up by the electricians. They can wrap that up while we switch to everything much more locally. So I think this is all those little Pavo light slims. Basically, they're like light mats, I call them. Light mats, 2x1s and 4x1s and all that kind of stuff. So I got one over here doing this backlight. And then we got one through a 4x frame doing the key light from this side. So that's this and this. And then you got your backlight over here. 3 lamps. Now, you'll notice there's nothing back here in the background because we didn't have permission to shine light that way. Okay, that's the problem. So it would have been way cooler if we had dirt and grime and mud or something on the windshields, but we don't. So what we have to do is, well, let's pick a side, which is this side that we're going to key from. And then we're just going to make it work so that when we're looking from this direction over to here, well, this key, the key from this side works for this guy, right? Who it doesn't work for is this guy, right? Because he's just going to be getting smashed in the face with light. And it's going to be from the same side that the camera is looking on. And we don't want that. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Where is it? That's the front shot. This is the other front shot. Oh, we're just going to bring it around more. And for that, rather than making this a 45-minute long video, I'm going to do a separate video on the coverage. Okay, so next time we're going to figure out, well, there were some limitations. We didn't have everything that we asked for. How are we going to deal with this? How are we going to create depth in the background? What is the process? Where is the most bang that we can get for interest and for color and for depth with the least actual work? Because again, this is not a fantasy land where all of the people in the crew just arrive to set and are expected to do your bidding anytime you ask. This is hour 10 of a long-ass day when everybody is thinking about how fast we can get through the scene because producers don't want to pay overtime, director wants to get all their stuff, first AD is in full panic mode, and everybody else in the crew is like, ooh, it's getting pretty close to going home time. I don't want to pull anything out of the truck that we don't necessarily need because that adds 30 minutes to wrapping up all the cables and everything else like that. So all of the pressure starts to converge on one little tiny setup, and you are forced to say, this is going to work, this is going to be good bang for the buck, this is not, we'll have to leave it. Those are the sacrifices that we will talk about in the next video. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. Many thanks. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.